Have you ever wondered what really happens during Mass? Do you think what we see with our eyes is everything? A priest at the altar, some people praying, songs that repeat Sunday after Sunday? But behind the veil of the visible, see, there's an infinitely greater reality, a reality that shakes both heaven and hell. Mass isn't just a human ritual. It's not a symbolic remembrance. Mass is a battle. An invisible battlefield, but absolutely real. A place where angels and demons clash, where the destiny of souls is decided, where the blood of the Lamb is poured upon the earth once more for all of us. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, who lived the mystery of Mass in his very flesh, said without fear, "The world could exist more easily without the Son than without the Holy Mass." For him, each Mass was a new Calvary. He didn't just celebrate, he suffered, he wept, he united himself to Christ crucified. Many witnesses testified that after Mass, Padre Pio was exhausted, as if he had fought a tremendous battle. And that's exactly what it was. He had fought not against men, but against legions of spirits opposing Christ's sacrifice. You might ask yourself, angels and demons at Mass? Isn't that an exaggeration? No, it's not. The Church has always taught us that in the liturgy we are united with heaven. The letter to the Hebrews says, "You have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly." When the priest stands at the altar, all of heaven opens. Angels descend, saints unite with us, souls in purgatory plead, and the demons, knowing the power that flows there, try to prevent it, try to distract, try to freeze hearts. Padre Pio warned, angels are present at every Mass in adoration before the sacrifice. But demons are also present, doing everything to steal the fruits of Mass from distracted souls. If these teachings touch your heart, write in the comments, "Padre Pio, help me understand." Your gesture helps this message reach more people who need to discover this hidden truth. But here's what the devil doesn't want you to know. You have the power to choose which side you're on in this battle. Maybe you're thinking right now, but how can this be? I go to Mass every Sunday and I don't see any battles. That's exactly the point. The most important battles are fought in the realm of the Spirit, where our naked eyes cannot reach, but where our souls feel every impact. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you gone to Mass with your body present, but your mind far away? How many times have you been distracted by your phone, by worldly thoughts, by worries? And at the same time, how many times have you felt a mysterious peace, a silent strength flowing from that altar? Those moments aren't products of imagination. They're signs of the invisible battle. Padre Pio understood this reality like few others. When he celebrated Mass, witnesses described something extraordinary. His face would transform, sometimes showing intense pain, other times radiant joy. Tears would stream down his cheeks during the consecration. He would tremble as he held the host, as if he were holding fire itself. One witness recounted, "I watched Padre Pio celebrate Mass, and I could swear I saw light surrounding the altar, a light that didn't come from the church lamps." This wasn't theatrical performance. This was a man who could see beyond the veil, who understood that at that moment heaven and earth were touching, that Christ was truly present, that angels were bowing in worship, and that demons were writhing in fury at their inability to stop this divine intervention. The devil knows this truth. That's why one of his greatest victories is convincing people that Mass is boring, repetitive, unimportant. How many Catholics abandon Sunday Mass out of laziness, out of excuses? Padre Pio said with sorrow, "Woe to those who don't participate in Mass. They don't know what they lose and what danger they expose their souls to. But here's what makes this battle so intense. Every prayer, every gesture, every word of the liturgy has eternal weight. When the priest says, 'This is my body,' it's not a symbol, it's reality. Christ becomes present, body, blood, soul, and divinity. The same Christ who died on Calvary 2,000 years ago is there, offering himself again for your salvation, for your healing, for your liberation. Now imagine the scene that so many mystics have witnessed. The altar illuminated by light that doesn't come from this world, surrounded by angels with flaming swords. They bow, they worship, they sing, "Holy, holy, holy," with a reverence that we, distracted, almost never achieve. At the same time, demons pass between the pews, whispering, placing distractions, inspiring sleep, impatience, coldness. It's the clash between light and darkness, and you're in the middle. This is why there are no spectators at Mass. Either you fight alongside Christ, offering your life, or you become indifferent, letting the enemy pass. Every time you participate with faith, with a recollected heart, uniting your sorrows, your struggles, and also your joys to Christ's sacrifice, something magnificent happens. Your suffering becomes redemptive. Your tears unite with Christ's tears. Your prayer rises to heaven accompanied by angels. Padre Pio said, "Mass is infinite as the value of the sacrifice of the cross." A single Mass can save thousands of souls. Do you realize the power you have access to every Sunday? Do you understand that you're not just fulfilling a precept, but entering the heart of spiritual battle? The saints knew this secret. That's why they would spend hours in preparation before Mass, and hours in thanksgiving afterward. They understood that this wasn't just a weekly obligation, but the source and summit of their entire spiritual life. St. John Vianney would say, "All good works combined are not equal to the holy sacrifice of the Mass, because they are the works of men, while the Holy Mass is the work of God." Now, if you want to deepen your understanding of how to strengthen your spiritual life and prepare better for this sacred battle, I have something special that can help you on this journey. We've created a powerful resource called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with more devotion and depth. Discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have already experienced its power, and know the teachings and most impactful phrases of Padre Pio about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith and access special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Just as Mass is a battlefield where we need spiritual armor, the Rosary is one of the most powerful weapons we can carry. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people. To download it, just click on the link pinned in the comments. Now let's continue discovering how to recognize and overcome the enemy's tactics during Mass. But here's what you need to understand. The devil will try to deceive you. He will try to make you go to Mass in mortal sin without confessing, so that you can't receive communion worthily. He will try to make you receive communion anyway, without faith, as if it were just a piece of bread. And in that case, instead of strength, you attract condemnation. That's why frequent confession is essential. Padre Pio spent hours and hours in the confessional because he knew that without confession, communion becomes a wound instead of healing. He would often say, "The confessional is the place where souls are born again." Think about this. If someone as holy as Padre Pio emphasized confession so much, how much more do we ordinary people need it? The enemy has specific strategies during Mass. Have you ever noticed how suddenly you become incredibly sleepy during the homily, but you were wide awake before entering church? Or how your phone seems to buzz at the most sacred moments? Or how your mind floods with worries about work, bills, or family problems right during the consecration? These aren't coincidences. These are tactics. The devil knows that distraction is his most effective weapon. He doesn't need to make you commit great sins during Mass. He just needs to steal your attention, to make you present in body, but absent in spirit. But let me tell you exactly what to look for. When you feel sudden anger towards someone in your family right before Mass, that's an attack. When you feel overwhelmed by sadness about your financial situation during the readings, that's a distraction. When you start judging other people's clothes, their singing, their behavior, that's the enemy redirecting your focus away from Jesus. One of the most telling testimonies comes from a woman who attended Padre Pio's Masses regularly. She shared, "I went to Mass one morning feeling terrible, full of anger toward my husband. During the consecration, I felt something like a weight lifting from my shoulders. I looked around and swore I could feel a presence beside me, gentle but powerful. When Mass ended, that anger was completely gone. I went home and apologized to my husband for the first time in months. That's when I realized that something supernatural had happened during that Mass. This is the reality of spiritual warfare during Mass. When you're truly participating, truly offering yourself, the demons lose power over you. Your burdens become lighter because Christ is carrying them with you. Your heart opens because heaven is touching earth. But the enemy doesn't give up easily. He will whisper doubts. This is all imagination. God doesn't really care about you. You're wasting your time here. He will bring memories of past sins to make you feel unworthy. He will make you focus on other people's faults instead of your own conversion. How do you recognize these attacks? Simple. Anything that pulls you away from union with Christ during Mass comes from the enemy. Anything that makes you feel closer to God, more peaceful, more loving toward others, comes from heaven. It's that clear. The fruits reveal the source. Padre Pio taught a powerful practice. When you feel distracted during Mass, immediately call upon your guardian angel. Ask him to pray for you, to keep your mind focused on Jesus. He also recommended making small sacrifices during Mass, fighting the urge to check your watch, resisting the temptation to judge others, offering up physical discomfort instead of complaining. Here's a practical exercise. Next time you go to Mass, count how many times your mind wanders to mundane things. Don't judge yourself harshly, just observe. Then, each time you catch your mind wandering, gently bring it back to Jesus. Say quietly, "Jesus, I'm here for you." Watch what happens to the quality of your prayer, to the peace in your heart. The most dangerous deception is thinking that your participation doesn't matter because you're just one person. The truth is exactly the opposite. Every soul that participates consciously in Mass strengthens the entire body of Christ. Every heart that truly adores Jesus in the Eucharist weakens the enemy's influence in the world. This is why the devil works so hard to empty churches, to make Mass seem irrelevant, to convince people that they can be good Christians without the Eucharist. He knows that Mass is his greatest defeat, repeated daily all over the world. Think about this. While you're sitting in that pew, someone across the world is also at Mass. In Italy, in the Philippines, in Mexico, in Poland, the same sacrifice is being offered, the same Jesus is becoming present, the same battle is being fought. You're part of a global army of prayer, and your participation matters more than you can imagine. So how should we live Mass? With consciousness, with intention, with the understanding that we're entering the most sacred battlefield in the universe. The preparation begins before you even leave your house. Padre Pio would prepare for Mass with intense prayer and meditation. He understood that you can't just show up and expect miracles. You need to prepare your heart, your mind, your soul. Before leaving home, take a moment to pray. Ask the Holy Spirit to open your heart. Ask Mary to accompany you. Tell Jesus that you want to offer him everything, your joys, your sorrows, your hopes, your fears. This simple preparation can transform your entire Mass experience. When you enter the church, use holy water. remembering the baptism that made you a child of God. This isn't just tradition. Holy water is blessed specifically to repel evil influences. Make the sign of the cross with devotion, knowing it's a weapon against evil. As you do it, remember that you carry the mark of Christ, that you belong to Him. Find your place and kneel for a moment of preparation. Don't immediately start chatting with others or checking your phone. This is your time to acknowledge where you are and what's about to happen. Tell Jesus you want to be fully present. Ask the Holy Spirit to open your heart. Invite your guardian angel to pray with you. Look around the church. See the crucifix, the statues of saints, the altar. Each of these is a reminder that you're in sacred space, that heaven and earth meet here. Let your eyes rest on the tabernacle where Jesus waits for you. Say quietly, Jesus, I believe you are here. I love you. Help me to love you more. During the readings, don't just let the words wash over you. God is speaking directly to you through those ancient texts. Listen as if your life depends on it, because it does. The Psalms, the Gospel passages, the letters of St. Paul, they contain power to transform your situation, to give you guidance, to bring healing. When the Gospel is proclaimed, make the sign of the cross on your forehead, lips, and heart. This ancient gesture means, may the Gospel be in my thoughts, on my lips, and in my heart. Don't just go through the motions, mean it. Ask Jesus to help you live what you're about to hear. During the homily, even if the priest isn't the world's best speaker, listen with faith. The Holy Spirit can speak through any consecrated priest. Ask yourself, what is God trying to tell me through these words? Often one phrase, one idea will stick with you. That's usually your personal message from heaven. When the priest elevates the host, look and say silently, my Lord and my God. Don't be embarrassed to kneel if others around you are standing. Don't be afraid to show reverence. The angels are on their faces in worship. Shouldn't we at least bow our heads? This is the moment when the invisible becomes most real. Padre Pio often said that if we could see what actually happens at the consecration, we would die of shock. The same Jesus who walked in Galilee, who healed the sick, who died on the cross, is there. Not a memory of him, not a symbol representing him, but him truly present. And when you go to receive communion, go as if you're about to receive fire from heaven in your heart. Approach with clean hands and pure heart. Some people rush to communion like they're getting in line at a store. Others hang back as if they're afraid. Both attitudes miss the point. You should approach with confidence because Jesus invites you, but also with awe because you're about to receive the God of the universe into your body. As you walk up to receive communion, pray quietly, Lord, I'm not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word and my soul shall be healed. Mean those words. Feel their weight. You're acknowledging your unworthiness, while also expressing faith in His power to heal and transform. After communion, don't immediately leave or start talking. This is your most precious time. Jesus is physically present within you. Talk to Him, thank Him, bring Him your fears, your hopes, your loved ones. Ask Him to heal what needs healing, to strengthen what needs strengthening, to transform what needs changing. Here's a beautiful practice. Spend at least 5 minutes in thanksgiving after communion. Tell Jesus specifically what you're grateful for. Then bring Him your concerns, not as complaints, but as a child bringing problems to a loving Father. Finally, ask Him what He wants from you this week. Listen to your heart. Often, He'll give you a simple, concrete way to serve Him or love others better. Remember, Mass isn't just for you. Each time you participate, you also intercede for your family members, for the sick, for souls in purgatory. Offer intentions. During the offertory, place your struggles on the altar along with the bread and wine. Let them be transformed too. And here's something beautiful that Padre Pio taught. When you can't go to Mass, send your guardian angel. He will participate for you and bring back the graces. This doesn't replace physical presence, but it shows the spiritual reality. Our angels accompany us everywhere, including to Mass. A businessman once shared this testimony. I started following Padre Pio's advice about conscious participation in Mass. Instead of going through the motions, I began offering each part of my life during different moments of the liturgy. During the offertory, I placed my struggling business on the altar. During communion, I asked Jesus to give me his wisdom in difficult decisions. Within 6 months, not only did my business turn around, but I found myself making decisions from a completely different perspective, with more integrity, more compassion, more trust in God's providence. It wasn't magic. It was grace working through my cooperation with God's plan. The Mass connects us to the entire communion of saints. When you're there, you're praying alongside Mary, who stood at the foot of the cross. You're united with St. Joseph, with Padre Pio, with your deceased loved ones who are in heaven. You're part of a cosmic liturgy that never ends. Don't underestimate the power of your participation. Every Amen you say with faith shakes the foundations of hell. Every moment of genuine adoration during the consecration brings light into darkness. Every communion received with love opens channels of grace that flow to your entire family, your workplace, your community. This is why Padre Pio said Mass was more necessary than the sun. The sun gives physical light and warmth to the earth. But Mass gives spiritual light and warmth to souls. Without it, the world would freeze in spiritual darkness. My brother, my sister, never forget. Mass is the most important invisible battle of your life. It's Calvary made present. It's Christ's sword piercing Satan's heart. Don't go out of habit. Don't go carelessly. Go knowing that the destiny of the world is decided there. Every time you participate in Mass with faith, you're not just receiving grace, you're changing the spiritual atmosphere around you. Your family benefits, even if they don't understand why. Your workplace becomes a little more peaceful because you carry Jesus there in your heart. Your neighborhood becomes a little brighter because divine light touched your soul. Padre Pio once said, if people knew the value of Mass, we would need guards at church doors to contain the crowds. Think about that. How many times have you gone to Mass as if it were just any obligation? And yet, it's there that heaven touches earth. It's there that Christ gives himself entirely for you. The world tries to convince us that what matters is what we can see, touch, measure. But the invisible reality is infinitely greater than the visible one. While others chase after temporary things that will pass away, you have access to the eternal. While others seek peace in meditation techniques or self-help philosophies, you have the source of all peace offering himself to you every single day. This is why our mission as a community is so crucial. Every time we share these truths, we're helping souls discover what they've been missing. Every time we encourage someone to approach Mass with greater faith, we're participating in the battle for souls. If this message has touched your heart, if you felt the Holy Spirit speaking to you through these words, I want you to take action right now. Leave a comment sharing your own experience with Mass. Have you ever felt something supernatural during the liturgy? Have you experienced healing, peace, or transformation through the Eucharist? Your testimony could be exactly what someone else needs to hear to return to Mass with new eyes. And here's how you can help us continue spreading this life-changing message. Hit that like button to show the algorithm that this content matters. Share this video with someone you know who might have become indifferent to Mass, who might have forgotten its incredible power. Subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss these revelations that can transform your spiritual life. Better yet, consider becoming a member of our community. When you support this channel, you're not just helping us create more content, you're participating in a mission to rekindle faith, to help people discover the supernatural reality that surrounds us. to bring souls back to the heart of Jesus in the Eucharist. Together, we can be instruments of grace in a world that desperately needs hope. Remember what Padre Pio taught us. It would be easier for the world to exist without the Son than without Holy Mass. Let this truth sink deep into your heart. Let it change how you approach every Sunday, every holy day, every opportunity to participate in this cosmic battle between light and darkness. May the Virgin Mary, Queen of the Eucharist, teach us to live each Mass as if it were the first, the last, and the only one. May St. Michael the Archangel fight beside us on this battlefield. And may Padre Pio's example inspire us to live with burning faith, knowing that at the altar, heaven and earth meet and hell trembles. Go now with this new understanding. Next time you enter a church for Mass, remember, you're not going to a routine religious service. You're entering the most important battle in the universe. You're choosing your side in the eternal conflict between good and evil. You're allowing the blood of the Lamb to cover your house, your family, your loved ones. And that, my friend, changes everything. There's a saint who was called the Doubter, but he holds one of the greatest secrets for strengthening our faith that most people never discover. Today marks the feast day of St. Thomas the Apostle, the disciple who dared to question, who demanded proof, who wasn't afraid to say, "I won't believe until I see." But here's what almost nobody realizes. Thomas's doubt wasn't a weakness. It was part of God's mysterious plan to teach the entire world something extraordinary about faith. And Padre Pio, with his deep mystical insight, revealed that this very day holds special grace for anyone seeking to deepen their relationship with Christ. Have you ever wondered why Jesus allowed Thomas to doubt? Why didn't our Lord simply appear to Thomas immediately, like he did with the other apostles? The answer will shake you to your core, because it reveals God's incredible patience with our human struggles and his desire to meet us exactly where we are. Right now, as you're watching this, you might be carrying doubts of your own. Maybe you've been questioning God's presence in your life, wondering if your prayers are really being heard, or struggling with faith during difficult times. If that's you, then this message was meant for your heart today. Padre Pio taught that there are 3 specific things you must do on St. Thomas's feast day, 3 transformative actions that can revolutionize your spiritual life and open doors to miracles you never imagined possible. These aren't complicated rituals or lengthy prayers. They're simple, profound acts that connect you directly to the same grace that transformed Thomas from a doubter into one of history's most fearless evangelists. If you feel your faith needs strengthening, if you've been wrestling with spiritual questions, type in the comments, "St. Thomas, increase my faith." Your words have power. And this simple act of reaching out creates an immediate connection to the grace flowing through this blessed day. But stay with me until the very end, because the 3rd action Padre Pio revealed is the most transformative of all. It's something that can literally move heaven on behalf of the people you love most, especially those who seem furthest from God right now. The story of Thomas isn't just ancient history, it's your story, my story, the story of every human heart that has ever struggled to believe. And today, we're going to discover how his journey from doubt to absolute conviction can become the blueprint for your own spiritual breakthrough. Picture this scene. It's 8 days after the resurrection. The other apostles have already seen the risen Christ, their hearts burning with joy and certainty, but Thomas wasn't there that first time. When they excitedly tell him, "We have seen the Lord," his response cuts through their euphoria like a blade. "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Can you imagine the tension in that room? Here's a man who had walked with Jesus for 3 years, witnessed countless miracles, heard the most profound teachings ever spoken, and yet he's demanding physical proof. Some might call it stubborn. Others might say it was faithless. But here's the stunning truth that Padre Pio understood. Thomas wasn't being rebellious, he was being human. And Jesus, in his infinite mercy, honored that humanity. 8 days later, Christ appeared again, specifically for Thomas. "Put your finger here," Jesus said gently. "See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." In that moment, Thomas's doubt didn't just vanish. It was transformed into the most extraordinary declaration of faith ever recorded. "My Lord and my God." Padre Pio often reflected on this encounter, explaining to his spiritual children that God doesn't despise our questions. As the saint from Pietrelcina would say, "The Lord never condemns an honest heart seeking truth. He only fears a heart that has stopped seeking altogether." This wasn't just theological theory for Padre Pio. He lived it. Throughout his own mystical experiences, he faced moments of profound questioning, even as he bore the wounds of Christ in his own body. But here's what's absolutely revolutionary about Thomas's story. His doubt became a gift to every person who would ever struggle with faith. Because when Thomas proclaimed, "My Lord and my God," he wasn't just speaking for himself. He was giving voice to every human soul that has ever wrestled with belief and emerged victorious. Jesus himself said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." That blessing, it's meant for you, for me, for everyone watching this right now, who chooses to believe despite not having Thomas's privilege of physically touching the risen Christ. And it was based on this profound understanding that Padre Pio revealed 3 specific actions we can take on St. Thomas's feast day. Actions that transform our own doubts into doorways of grace, just as Thomas's questioning became his greatest moment of faith. Here's the first thing you must do today, and it's something that Padre Pio said could literally make hell tremble. You need to do exactly what St. Thomas did when he finally encountered the risen Christ, but you need to do it with complete awareness of its strength. When Thomas saw Jesus, he didn't just believe. He fell to his knees and exclaimed with every fiber of his being, "My Lord and my God." These weren't just words of recognition. They were a total surrender, a complete acknowledgement of Christ's authority over every aspect of his life. And according to Padre Pio, when we speak these same words with genuine faith, we're doing something that sends shockwaves through both heaven and hell. Why do these 5 simple words carry such incredible force? Because they contain the fullness of Christian faith in one breath. My Lord, acknowledging Jesus as the ruler of your life, the one you choose to follow above all earthly authorities. My God, proclaiming his divinity, recognizing that the man who died on the cross is the same God who created the universe. Together, these words form what Padre Pio called the perfect prayer of submission and adoration. But here's what makes this practice truly transformative. It's not about saying them once and moving on. Throughout this day, whenever fear creeps into your heart, whenever doubt whispers its lies, whenever you feel overwhelmed by life's challenges, that's when you whisper these words like a secret between you and heaven. My Lord and my God. Say them when you wake up and uncertainty about the day ahead floods your mind. Whisper them when you're stuck in traffic and frustration starts to build. Breathe them quietly when you're facing a difficult conversation or a challenging decision. Let them be your anchor when anxiety tries to sweep you away. I want to share something that happened to Sarah, a nurse from Texas, who started practicing this after attending one of my talks about Padre Pio's teachings. She was going through a devastating divorce, questioning everything she'd believed about God's goodness, feeling completely abandoned. But she decided to try this practice, repeating Thomas's words whenever darkness seemed to overwhelm her. At first, it felt mechanical, she told me. But then something shifted, one particularly dark evening, when I felt like I couldn't take another step. I whispered, "My Lord and my God," and suddenly felt this incredible peace wash over me, It wasn't that my problems disappeared, but I absolutely knew that I wasn't facing them alone. 3 months later, Sarah's life had transformed in ways she never expected, not because her circumstances changed overnight, but because her heart had found its anchor. The key is consciousness. Don't let these become empty words you recite without thinking. When you say, "My Lord," really mean it. Surrender your will, your plans, your fears to Him in that moment. When you say, "My God," acknowledge His infinite power and love active in your life right now. Padre Pio taught that each time we speak these words with genuine faith, we're inviting Christ to touch our situation, just as Thomas was invited to touch his wounds. We're creating a moment of connection that transcends our physical limitations and opens our hearts to receive the same grace that transformed Thomas from a doubter into a fearless apostle. This isn't just spiritual theory. It's a practice that has changed countless lives. But as mighty as this first action is, it's only the beginning of what Padre Pio revealed about St. Thomas's feast day. Speaking of strengthening our prayer life, I want to share something special with you. If you're feeling called to deepen your connection with God through the extraordinary intercession of Padre Pio, I've created something that can truly transform your spiritual journey. It's called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you discover how to pray the Rosary with deeper devotion, learn about the miracles and testimonies of those who've experienced its force, and understand Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, plus special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and today it can become yours too. This isn't just another book. It's a roadmap to the same spiritual strength that sustained Padre Pio through his incredible journey of faith. To download your copy, simply click the link pinned in the comments below. Don't miss this opportunity to fortify your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people grow closer to God. But now, let's return to St. Thomas's feast day and discover the second remarkable action that Padre Pio revealed. Now we move from words spoken aloud to something deeper, more intimate, and potentially more transformative. The second thing you must do today involves something that Padre Pio said was absolutely crucial. You must surrender to Jesus the doubts you've never dared to speak out loud. Think about this for a moment. Thomas's doubt was public. He announced it to the other apostles. He voiced his skepticism openly. But what about the doubts you carry in the shadows of your heart? The questions you're ashamed to ask? The uncertainties you've pushed so deep that you barely acknowledge them yourself? Padre Pio understood something profound about human nature and spiritual warfare. He taught that the enemy of our souls works most effectively not in the doubts we confess, but in the doubts we hide. These secret uncertainties become like infected wounds. The longer they remain covered and untreated, the more they poison our spiritual immune system. Maybe you've wondered if God really loves you personally, not just humanity in general. Perhaps you've questioned whether your prayers actually reach heaven, or if you're just talking to empty air. Maybe you've doubted whether you're truly forgiven for that thing you did years ago, or whether God could possibly have a good plan for your life, given all the pain you've experienced. These are the thoughts that whisper in the quiet moments, the fears that surface at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, the questions that make you feel like a fraud when you're sitting in church singing hymns of faith. And here's what Padre Pio discovered. These hidden doubts are exactly where spiritual attack finds its foothold. But today, on St. Thomas's feast day, you have a unique opportunity to break their grip completely. Here's what you need to do. Find a moment of complete privacy, maybe in your car, in your room, or even in your heart while others are around. Then pray these words with absolute honesty. Lord Jesus, I believe, but help my unbelief. I surrender to you the doubts I've been too ashamed to confess, the questions I've been afraid to ask, the fears that make me wonder if you're really there. I place them all at the foot of your cross. Don't let my hidden uncertainties become weapons that the enemy uses against me. Strengthen my faith where it's weakest, and let your truth shine light into every dark corner of my heart. The strength of this prayer isn't in perfect words, it's in radical honesty. When you finally bring those secret doubts into the light of Christ's love, something miraculous happens. They lose their ability to terrorize you in the darkness. You stop feeding them with shame and fear, and instead you offer them to the one who can actually transform them into deeper faith. Padre Pio often told his spiritual children that God already knows every doubt you've ever harbored. You're not shocking him with your honesty. You're finally aligning your heart with his knowledge. And when you do this, you immediately disarm one of the enemy's favorite strategies, using your own shame against you. This isn't about having perfect faith. Even Thomas needed to touch the wounds. This is about refusing to let hidden doubts fester in secret. It's about choosing transparency with God over the exhausting work of maintaining a spiritual facade. As Thomas himself once reflected, it is better to seek truth with doubt than to accept falsehood with certainty. The moment you pray this prayer, you're following in his footsteps, not the Thomas who doubted, but the Thomas who was honest about his doubt and allowed Jesus to meet him exactly where he was. And just like Thomas discovered, when we bring our real questions to Christ, we receive real answers, real peace, and real transformation. But remarkable as this second action is, it's the third one that Padre Pio said was the most extraordinary of all. And it has nothing to do with your own faith journey and everything to do with the people you love most. Now we come to the most transformative action of all, based on something about St. Thomas that most people never learn. After his encounter with the risen Christ, Thomas became one of history's most fearless missionaries, traveling farther than any other apostle to bring the gospel to the ends of the earth. Historical records tell us that Thomas journeyed all the way to India, to regions where no one had ever heard the name of Jesus. He went to the hardest, most resistant places, to people whose hearts seemed completely closed to the message of Christ. And there, in those impossible circumstances, he performed extraordinary miracles and converted thousands to faith. Here's what Padre Pio understood. Thomas's willingness to go to the spiritually unreachable wasn't just ancient history. It's a living grace we can tap into today. The third action you must take on St. Thomas's feast day is this. You must pray specifically for the people in your life who seem furthest from God, especially those in your own family. Think about them right now. Maybe it's your adult child who walked away from faith years ago, or your spouse who has grown cold towards spiritual things. Perhaps it's your parents who seem to have given up on prayer entirely, or that friend who seems completely consumed by worldly success and has no room for God. These are the people who break your heart every time you think about them. You've probably tried talking to them about faith, maybe even arguing with them, pleading with them, but nothing seems to penetrate the walls they've built around their hearts. This is where St. Thomas's special grace comes in. Padre Pio taught that when we pray to St. Thomas on his feast day for those who seem spiritually unreachable, we're invoking the same divine force that allowed him to touch the hardest hearts in ancient India. We're asking for his missionary spirit to go where we cannot go, into the hidden places of our loved ones, hearts where hurt, pride, and fear have built seemingly impenetrable barriers. Here's the specific prayer Padre Pio recommended. St. Thomas, you who went to the ends of the earth to reach hearts that seemed impossible to touch, I entrust to you, name the person specifically. Go to the places in their heart where I cannot reach. Touch their wounds with the same gentleness that Jesus showed to you. Heal their hurts, soften their pride, and kindle in them a desire for the truth that only Christ can satisfy. Bring them home to God's love, just as your own doubt brought you to deeper faith. I want to share what happened to Maria, a mother from Colorado whose son had rejected everything she'd taught him about faith. For 10 years, every conversation about God ended in anger and frustration, but when she learned about this prayer on St. Thomas's feast day, something remarkable began to happen. She stopped trying to convince her son and instead began praying this prayer for him every July 3rd. It wasn't immediate, she told me, but slowly I noticed he stopped being defensive when faith came up in conversation. Then last Christmas, out of nowhere, he asked me why I still believed in God after all the pain our family had been through. We had the most honest conversation about faith we'd had in 20 years. He's not where I am yet, but his heart isn't closed anymore. The wall is coming down, brick by brick. What makes this prayer so effective is that it acknowledges something profound. God's grace works in ways we can't see, in timing we don't understand, through circumstances we would never expect. This prayer doesn't just change the people you're praying for, it transforms you. It moves you from trying to be their savior to trusting that Christ is already pursuing them with love far greater than yours. Today, on St. Thomas's feast day, you have the opportunity to become a missionary to the unreachable, not through your words or arguments, but through the strength of intercession. You can send St. Thomas ahead of you into the hearts of those you love most, trusting that the same grace that transformed his doubt into faith can work miracles in lives that seem completely beyond hope. Now let's see how these 3 remarkable actions work together to create a complete spiritual transformation on St. Thomas's feast day. What Padre Pio understood is that they're not meant to be practiced in isolation, but as a connected sequence that builds from personal faith to inner healing to reaching others. Start your day by establishing your spiritual foundation with the first action. When you wake up, before you check your phone or get caught up in the day's demands, speak Thomas's words with intention. My Lord and my God. Let this declaration set the tone for everything that follows. Throughout the morning, whenever uncertainty tries to creep in, return to these words as your anchor. Then, sometime during the middle of your day, perhaps during your lunch break or a quiet moment, practice the second action. Find that private space and offer your hidden doubts to Christ with complete honesty. This creates an internal clearing, a spiritual house cleaning that prepares your heart for the most profound work. As evening approaches, engage in the third action. This is when you become a missionary through prayer, interceding for those who seem furthest from God. There's something beautiful about ending the day by reaching beyond yourself toward others' hearts. It completes the circle, from personal surrender to inner healing to loving service. What you'll notice if you practice all 3 actions in sequence is that they create a momentum that goes far beyond what any single prayer could accomplish. The first action grounds you in faith, the second action frees you from spiritual obstacles, and the third action connects you to God's heart for others. Together, they form what Padre Pio called a perfect day of grace. The changes you'll experience won't be dramatic or flashy. Don't expect lightning bolts or mystical visions. Instead, watch for subtle shifts, a deeper peace during stressful moments, less anxiety about the future, a growing confidence in God's presence, and perhaps most importantly, a change in how you view the people in your life who struggle with faith. You'll find yourself becoming less judgmental and more compassionate, less controlling and more trusting. Remember, God isn't afraid of your questions or uncomfortable with your doubts. He's been waiting for you to bring them into his light so he can transform them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. St. Thomas's story proves that our struggles with faith aren't obstacles to relationship with God. They can become the very pathway to deeper intimacy with him. Today is your day to follow in the footsteps of the apostle who dared to doubt and discovered that honest seeking leads to extraordinary finding. As we reach the end of this journey together, I want you to remember something that Padre Pio often told his spiritual children. Your doubts don't disqualify you from God's love. They qualify you for His mercy. St. Thomas's story isn't just about an ancient apostle who struggled with faith. It's about every one of us who has ever wondered if God is real, if our prayers matter, if there's hope for the people we love who seem so far from heaven. Today, you've discovered 3 actions that can transform this feast day from just another date on the calendar into a doorway of grace. But more than that, you've learned that God meets you in your questions, not despite them. Your struggles with faith aren't evidence of weakness. They're invitations to deeper relationship with the one who loves you beyond measure. If these teachings have touched your heart, if you feel the stirring of hope for your own faith journey or for the people you've been praying for, I want you to take action right now. Write in the comments, "My Lord and my God." Let these words be your declaration of faith, your act of surrender, and your connection to this incredible community of believers who, like Thomas, have found that honest seeking leads to miraculous finding. Share this message with 3 people who need to hear it. Maybe it's someone struggling with doubt, or perhaps someone who's been praying for a loved one who seems spiritually unreachable. Your simple act of sharing could be the answer to their prayers. And if you want to continue growing in faith alongside this community, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and have notifications turned on. We're here to support each other in this beautiful, sometimes challenging journey of following Christ. Remember the words of Padre Pio, "Pray, hope, and don't worry. Your questions are welcome, your doubts have purpose, and your loved ones are never beyond the reach of God's grace." St. Thomas and Padre Pio are interceding for you today, and the love of Christ is transforming every struggle into strength, every question into deeper faith. May this feast day of St. Thomas mark the beginning of a new chapter in your spiritual journey, one written not with perfect faith, but with honest seeking that leads to extraordinary finding. God bless you. Have you ever wondered if there's a specific hour of the day when the Rosary gains extraordinary power? An hour when Our Lady listens with special attention to our pleas and pours abundant graces upon those who invoke her with devotion? This isn't a myth or superstition. This is a spiritual secret transmitted by saints like Padre Pio, who lived each day under the loving gaze of the Virgin and found in the Rosary the strength to resist the devil, the peace to endure his stigmata, and the fire to kindle souls in God's love. Haven't you ever asked yourself if heaven has privileged moments? Just as in life, there are instants we never forget. In the spiritual realm, there are also sacred hours. Hours when grace pours forth with special abundance. The Rosary is always powerful at any hour, but according to Padre Pio, there are moments when praying, it is like placing the exact key in the door of Mary's heart, and that door opens with greater tenderness and speed. Padre Pio prayed the Rosary unceasingly. He said, "I want you to pray the Rosary always, always. Recite it when you can, as you can, but never abandon it." And he repeated, "The Rosary is the chain that binds the devil." Can you imagine the scene? The saint of the stigmata marked on his hands, feet, and side, holding in his poverty that worn rosary, with tears in his eyes, murmuring Hail Marys one after another, while demons roared with rage around him. And yet they never conquered him. Why? Because Mary was there responding to her faithful Son. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you felt overwhelmed by problems that seemed impossible to solve? How many nights have you gone to bed with a heavy heart, searching for answers that wouldn't come? What if I told you that the solution might be simpler than you imagine, but more powerful than you've ever experienced? The saints teach us that prayer has its seasons, its perfect timing. Just as a farmer knows the right moment to plant and harvest, the soul that seeks Mary's intercession can discover those golden hours when heaven bends closer to earth. But let's return to the essential question. What is that exact hour? The saints teach us there are 3 privileged moments: at dawn, at 3 in the afternoon, and at midnight. Each one carries a special mystery. Each one opens a different door in Mary's heart. If you believe in the power of Mary's intercession through the Holy Rosary, write in the comments, "Mother Mary, I want to pray with you in the hour of your grace." Don't just write it mechanically. Write it with your heart, with your need, with your faith. Because today you're about to discover something that could transform not just your prayer life, but your entire existence. The revelation I'm about to share has been tested by saints, confirmed by miracles, and lived by countless souls who found in these sacred hours the key to unlock heaven's treasures. Before we dive into these 3 sacred hours, you need to understand something fundamental about Padre Pio's relationship with the Rosary. This wasn't just a devotion for him. It was his spiritual weapon, his lifeline, his constant companion in a life marked by extraordinary supernatural battles. Picture this: a simple Capuchin friar from a small Italian town, bearing the wounds of Christ in his own body, spending hours each day with a worn rosary in his scarred hands. The beads were smooth from decades of use, stained with his own blood from the stigmata, yet he never let go of it. Never. Padre Pio once said, "The rosary is the weapon for these times." But what did he mean by weapon? In our comfortable modern lives, we might forget that we're in the middle of a spiritual war, a war where the enemy doesn't use guns or bombs, but discouragement, despair, division, and doubt. The rosary, in Padre Pio's hands, became the sword that cut through darkness. There are documented accounts of Padre Pio being physically attacked by demons during the night. They would throw him from his bed, beat him, torment him with horrific visions, but he had one defense that never failed: his rosary. The moment he grasped those beads and began to pray, the attacks would cease. The demons would flee, screaming in rage and defeat. The rosary is the chain that binds the devil. He would tell his spiritual children, think about that image: a chain, strong, unbreakable, link by link. Each Hail Mary is a link. Each Our Father strengthens the bond, and Satan, for all his fury and power, cannot break free from that chain. But Padre Pio discovered something else. He noticed that certain hours of the day seemed to amplify the power of this prayer. It wasn't that God loved him more at these times, or that Mary was more attentive. Rather, these were hours when the spiritual atmosphere was particularly receptive to prayer, when heaven and earth seemed to touch more closely. You might be wondering, how can I know this is true? How can I trust that these aren't just old stories or religious folklore? The answer lies not in blind faith, but in experience. Padre Pio always encouraged people to test their faith, to try these spiritual practices and see the fruits in their own lives. And the fruits were undeniable. People who followed Padre Pio's guidance about the Rosary began experiencing what they could only describe as miraculous interventions. Healing from diseases that doctors couldn't cure. Protection from accidents that should have been fatal. Financial provisions that came from unexpected sources, reconciliation in families that seemed beyond repair. But here's what's truly remarkable. These weren't just dramatic miracles. Most of the time, the changes were quieter but no less real. A peace that settled over anxious hearts, a strength that helped people face their daily struggles, a clarity that came when difficult decisions needed to be made. A sense of being held, protected, loved by a mother who never slept and never forgot her children. One of Padre Pio's spiritual daughters once asked him, "Father, I pray the Rosary every day, but I don't feel anything special. Am I doing something wrong?" His response was profound. "My daughter, the Rosary doesn't work because you feel something. It works because Mary hears everything. Your feelings may change, but her love never changes. Keep praying and you will see the fruits in God's time." This brings us to a crucial understanding. The power of the Rosary doesn't depend on your emotions or your ability to concentrate perfectly. It depends on Mary's faithfulness to her children. When you pick up those beads, you're not just reciting prayers, you're entering into a conversation with the Mother of God. And she is always listening, always ready to intercede. Now, many devoted Catholics pray the Rosary daily and experience its blessings. But Padre Pio discovered that there were specific hours when this prayer seemed to unlock particular graces. 3 hours that opened heaven's floodgates in ways that even surprised him. This is where our journey gets truly exciting. Because you're about to learn not just when to pray, but how to pray in a way that aligns your soul with the very heartbeat of heaven. You're about to discover the 3 hours that Padre Pio called the privileged moments of grace. And right here, I want to share something special with you. As we delve deeper into these sacred hours, you might find yourself hungry for more of Padre Pio's wisdom about the Rosary. That's why I've prepared a comprehensive guide called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosa. Discover miracles and testimonies from those who have experienced its power. Know the most impactful teachings and phrases from Padre Pio about prayer. Receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith and access special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now let me reveal to you these 3 sacred hours that Padre Pio held so dear. Each one carries its own spiritual significance, its own special grace, its own unique way of touching Mary's maternal heart. The first privileged hour is at dawn, when the first rays of sunlight pierce through the darkness. There's something mystical about this moment, something that speaks to the deepest part of our souls. When you take your Rosary at dawn, you're offering God the first fruits of your day. While the world sleeps or begins with hurried anxiety, you place your heart in Mary's hands. Padre Pio recommended offering the beginning of each day because what comes first has immense value. Just as in biblical times, the first fruits of the harvest were offered to God, your first breath of the day, wrapped in Hail Marys, becomes a sweet fragrance before the throne of the Almighty. And Our Lady responds with light, with protection for everything you'll do in those coming hours. Think about your typical morning. Perhaps you wake up already stressed about the day ahead. Your mind races with responsibilities, deadlines, conflicts you need to resolve. But imagine instead waking up 15 minutes earlier, taking your Rosary and greeting the sunrise with Mary beside you. Those quiet moments before the world makes its demands on you become a sanctuary of peace that will carry you through whatever storms may come. Maria, a nurse from Chicago, shared her experience. I started praying the Rosary at dawn after learning about Padre Pio's teaching. Within weeks, my whole approach to work changed. Instead of arriving at the hospital already drained, I felt this incredible inner strength. Patients started commenting on my peaceful presence. Even the most difficult situations seemed manageable because I had started my day in Mary's arms. The second privileged hour is at 3 in the afternoon, the hour when Christ breathed his last on the cross, the hour of divine mercy. At that moment, when blood and water flowed from Jesus' side, Mary stood at the foot of the cross. Can you imagine what it means to unite your Rosary to that instant? The Rosary at 3 o'clock isn't simply a prayer. It's as if you embrace Mary in that very Calvary. Padre Pio said, "The Virgin never abandons those who unite themselves to her in the pain of her Son's passion." At that hour, Our Lady listens as the sorrowful mother, and her responses are particularly tender and profound. This is the hour when the floodgates of mercy open for all humanity. When you pray the Rosary at 3 o'clock, you're standing with Mary beneath the cross, receiving the same love that flowed from Jesus' pierced heart. There's something powerful about interrupting your afternoon routine for this sacred appointment. Whether you're at work, at home with children, or dealing with the day's challenges, that moment of stopping to pray creates a spiritual oasis. You might not be able to pray a full rosary, but even 1 decade at 3 o'clock connects you to the source of all mercy and compassion. James, a construction worker, tells his story. My job is physically demanding and often stressful. When I learned about the 3 o'clock prayer from Padre Pio's teaching, I started taking a brief break to pray at least 1 decade of the Rosary. My co-workers thought I was crazy at first, but then they started noticing how I stayed calm during crisis situations. Some even asked me to pray for their families. That 1 decade at 3 o'clock changed not just my day, but my entire workplace. The third privileged hour is midnight. Silence reigns. Demons attempt to sow fear, sadness, and temptation. And there in the darkness, a soul takes up the Rosary. That chain of beads becomes a sword of light. Padre Pio was attacked many times by the enemy during the night, but he clung to the Rosary like an indestructible shield. He said, "The Rosary is the prayer that makes all of hell tremble." Praying at midnight is directly challenging Satan and declaring, "You have no power here." I'm under Mary's mantle. It's in this hour that many testify to feeling consolations, inner peace, clear answers to their supplications. Midnight prayer isn't easy. Your body is tired, sleep calls to you, and the darkness can feel overwhelming. But those who have embraced this practice speak of supernatural strength that comes when they offer this sacrifice to Mary. It's in these quiet, hidden moments that some of the most powerful spiritual battles are won. The beautiful truth is that you don't have to choose just 1 hour. Some people are called to dawn prayer, others to the afternoon mercy hour, and still others to the midnight watch. But imagine the power of a soul that embraces all three. Imagine starting your day with Mary at dawn, meeting her again at the cross at 3 o'clock, and ending under her protective mantle at midnight. This isn't about religious obligation or earning God's love through our efforts. This is about positioning ourselves to receive the graces that are already flowing from heaven. It's about creating sacred rhythms in our lives that align us with the heartbeat of eternity. Now let me invite you to imagine something transformative. Picture yourself deciding to test this ancient wisdom. Tomorrow morning, before the sun breaks the horizon, you kneel with your rosary in hand. At 3 in the afternoon, in the middle of work or daily responsibilities, you pause and pray at least one mystery. And at midnight, even though sleep weighs heavy on your eyelids, you make the effort and pray at least 1 decade. You will see how your life begins to transform. Our Lady will respond, perhaps not with visible miracles instantly, but with interior changes, unexpected providences, a new strength to bear what once seemed impossible. The transformation often begins subtly, like dawn itself. You might notice that problems that once consumed your thoughts begin to feel manageable. Relationships that were strained start healing in ways you can't fully explain. Opportunities appear from directions you never expected. Sarah from Texas writes, "I was going through a devastating divorce and felt completely abandoned. When I started following Padre Pio's teaching about the 3 sacred hours, I honestly didn't expect much. I was just desperate. But within a month, everything changed. Not my circumstances initially, but my heart. I found peace I hadn't felt in years. Then, slowly, practical solutions began appearing. My lawyer fee was unexpectedly reduced, my children adapted better than predicted, and I found strength I never knew I had. Mary was working behind the scenes all along. But let's be practical about this. How do you implement these 3 hours in a busy modern life? You don't need to pray a full rosary at each hour, especially when you're beginning. At dawn, even 5 minutes of prayer while you have your morning coffee can transform your entire day. At 3 o'clock, step away from whatever you're doing, even if it's just for 1 Our Father and 10 Hail Marys. At midnight, if you're already asleep, you might set a gentle alarm for just a brief moment of connection with Mary. The key isn't perfection. It's consistency and sincere intention. Padre Pio understood human weakness. He knew we get tired, distracted, overwhelmed by life's demands. What matters to Mary isn't the length of your prayer, but the love in your heart when you reach for those beads. Some nights you might fall asleep holding your rosary. Some afternoons you might only manage a quick mental Hail Mary at 3 o'clock. Some mornings you might oversleep and miss the dawn prayer. Mary understands. She's a mother. Mothers don't love their children less when they stumble. They love them more and help them get back up. But here's what Padre Pio emphasized. The rosary becomes even more powerful when combined with other spiritual practices. Frequent confession cleanses the soul and makes it more receptive to grace. Regular Holy Communion unites you with Jesus in the most intimate way possible. Holy water in your home creates an atmosphere of blessing. A miraculous medal or brown scapular worn with faith becomes a constant reminder of Mary's protection. These aren't superstitions. They're spiritual tools, weapons in the battle for your soul's peace and salvation. But among all these weapons, Padre Pio insisted the rosary was the one that most wounded the enemy and most delighted the heart of God. Michael, a businessman from New York, shares, "I was skeptical about timing mattering so much in prayer, but I decided to try the 3-hour practice for 30 days. The change was remarkable. My business decisions became clearer, my stress levels dropped dramatically, and my family relationships improved. Most surprising was how my sleep improved. Those few minutes of midnight prayer, instead of making me more tired, actually gave me deeper rest. I felt protected, covered by grace in a way I'd never experienced. The beautiful promise of these sacred hours is that they create a rhythm of grace throughout your entire day. You begin with Mary at dawn, meet her at the cross in the afternoon, and end the day safely in her arms at midnight. This isn't just about prayer times. It's about living your entire life conscious of Mary's maternal presence. And remember, when you pray the rosary at these hours, you're not praying alone. Around the world, other souls are joining their voices to yours. In different time zones, at different moments, the same prayers are rising to heaven like incense. You become part of a global army of prayer, a spiritual family united in love for Jesus through Mary. Padre Pio repeated, "The rosary is the testament of Jesus and Mary." When you pray it, you're never alone. And when you pray it at these privileged hours, you're touching the very heart of your Heavenly Mother. The invitation is simple, but the results can be extraordinary. Choose 1 hour to start, just one. Maybe dawn speaks to your heart, or perhaps the afternoon mercy hour calls to you. Or maybe you're drawn to the quiet courage of midnight prayer. Start there, start small, start with love. Mary is waiting for your response. She has been waiting your entire life for this moment, when you finally discover the secret that saints have known for centuries. The secret of perfect timing in prayer, of sacred hours when heaven bends close to earth, of a mother who never sleeps and never stops interceding for her children. As we reach the end of our journey together today, let me ask you something from my heart to yours. After everything you've heard about these 3 sacred hours, after learning about Padre Pio's profound wisdom, after discovering the testimonies of lives transformed, what will you choose to do? The truth is beautifully simple. At dawn, when the world is still quiet and your soul is fresh, Mary waits for you. At 3 in the afternoon, at the very hour when mercy flooded the earth from the cross, she stands ready to intercede. At midnight, when darkness tries to whisper lies and fears, she offers you her protective mantle. These aren't just prayer times, they're appointments with grace. They're invitations to step out of ordinary time and into the sacred rhythm that has sustained saints for centuries. Padre Pio discovered this rhythm in his own suffering and joy, and he's passing it on to you as a father passes precious inheritance to his beloved child. But knowledge without action is like seed that never gets planted. You can admire the beauty of these teachings. You can feel inspired by the stories. You can even agree with everything I've shared. But until you pick up your rosary and begin, nothing changes. I want to invite you to make a decision right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Choose one of these sacred hours. Maybe dawn calls to your heart, speaking of new beginnings and fresh hopes. Perhaps the afternoon hour resonates with you, connecting your struggles to Christ's passion. Or maybe midnight draws you, offering courage to those who will stand guard in prayer while others sleep. Start with 15 minutes. That's all. 15 minutes that could redirect the entire course of your life. Because Mary doesn't need your perfection. She needs your presence. She needs your trust. She needs you to believe that a mother's love can indeed move mountains and open heaven's storehouse of blessings. If these teachings have touched your heart, if you sense Mary's gentle call in these words, write in the comments, "Mother Mary, I choose the hour of grace." Tell us which hour speaks to you. Share your intention, your hope, your gratitude. Your testimony might be exactly what another soul needs to take their own first step toward these sacred hours. Don't let this moment pass without action. Mary is calling your name. She has a plan for your life that's more beautiful than anything you can imagine, but it begins with your yes, with your willingness to meet her in these sacred hours when heaven touches earth. The rosary beads are waiting in your hands. The hours are calling. Mary is listening. What will your answer be? My dear brothers and sisters in faith, we are building something beautiful together here. This isn't just a channel about religious teachings. This is a spiritual family, a community of souls hungry for God's truth and Mary's motherly guidance. Every video we create, every teaching we share about Padre Pio's wisdom, every testimony we present carries the potential to transform lives and kindle hearts with divine love. But we can't do this alone. We need your partnership in this sacred mission. When you give this video a thumbs up, you're not just clicking a button, you're declaring that these teachings matter, that Padre Pio's wisdom deserves to reach more hearts. When you share this message with your family and friends, you become a missionary of hope in a world desperate for Mary's comfort. Consider becoming a channel member to join our inner circle of prayer warriors. Together, we're not just watching videos. We're participating in a movement of faith that crosses borders and touches souls around the globe. Your support helps us continue bringing you the profound spiritual treasures that can change everything. Remember, every soul that encounters Padre Pio's wisdom through our videos is a victory for heaven. Every person who discovers the power of the 3 sacred hours is another reason for the angels to sing. This is more than content creation. This is evangelization in the digital age, and you are our partners in this holy work. May Mary bless you abundantly for your faithfulness, and may Padre Pio intercede for all our intentions as we continue this beautiful journey of faith together. Today we are going to talk about a day that all of heaven honors with reverence, the feast of the holy name of Mary, a name that makes hell tremble, makes the angels kneel, and fills the hearts of God's children with consolation. But here's the shocking truth most people never discover. This sacred day carries promises, protection, and miracles that could transform your life forever. Yet millions let it slip by, completely unaware of the spiritual weapons Mary herself wants to press into their desperate hands. Father Pio, one of the Church's most mystical saints, held an extraordinary devotion to Mary's holy name. In his letters, he would pray, "If the name of Mary were written in the hearts of all people, what a paradise this earth would become." Today, I'm going to share the 3 things Father Pio would demand you do on the Holy Name of Mary Day. But don't you dare skip ahead. The 3rd revelation has the power to blow heaven's gates wide open. Before we go any further, let me ask you something that might hit too close to home. Have you been under spiritual attack lately? That suffocating silence that chokes your peace. Anxiety that has no name but feels like death. Family wars that seem to multiply overnight. Father Pio would say, where Mary's name is forgotten, the devil sets up shop. That's exactly why the Holy Name of Mary Day becomes your last chance to reclaim what the enemy has stolen from your life. If you're ready for war against spiritual darkness, write in the comments, "Holy Name of Mary, be my salvation." Your declaration will ignite hope in hearts that are dying for breakthrough. Now, let me reveal what could change everything. Here's what you probably haven't realized. Your home might be crawling with invisible poison, old grudges festering like infected wounds, bitter words that never found forgiveness. Toxic memories playing on repeat, feeding something dark that's growing stronger every day. Father Pio used to say, "A soul that harbors resentment is like a house with every door flung wide open to the enemy." Think about it. When did you last feel completely at peace under your own roof? When did you last sleep through the night without that knot of dread in your gut? When did family conversations flow without hidden landmines ready to explode? Here's the brutal truth. Resentment doesn't just wound you emotionally, it tears spiritual holes where demons pour in like water through a broken dam. Mary's holy name can seal those cracks, but first, you've got to identify what's letting hell into your house. Father Pio understood this like few others. He knew forgiveness isn't some feel-good gesture we do for others. It's hand-to-hand combat. It's taking back territory the enemy has claimed in our hearts. On this Holy Name of Mary Day, I want you to do something that might feel like spiritual surgery. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Sit quietly and ask Mary to reveal who you're still at war with. Don't overthink it. Just write down the names that make your stomach turn. Maybe it's that family member who crushed your trust years ago. Perhaps it's the friend who stabbed you in the back. Could be the boss who treated you like garbage, or even yourself for mistakes that keep haunting you. Write each name clearly. No explanations needed. Just the names that still make you clench your fists. Now comes the part that changes everything. Hold that paper and declare out loud, "By the holy name of Mary, I choose to forgive." Say it for every single name. Feel the weight of those words. Mean them, even if your emotions are screaming in protest. Forgiveness isn't about feelings. It's about making a decision that cuts spiritual chains you've been dragging around like a prisoner. After speaking forgiveness over each name, take that paper and burn it safely. Watch those flames devour what you refuse to carry anymore. As the smoke rises, picture your burdens rising with it, reaching heaven where Mary herself takes them from your bleeding hands. Father Pio believed fire has purifying power. When you burn that paper, you're not just disposing of trash. You're participating in a sacred ritual that kicks the devil out of your business. Sarah carried rage toward her sister for 15 brutal years. Every family gathering turned into World War III. Every phone call felt like walking through a minefield. She tried therapy, distance, even pretending the hurt didn't exist. Nothing worked. Then, on a Holy Name of Mary Day, she performed this exact ritual. She wrote her sister's name, spoke forgiveness through tears that felt like they'd burn her face off, and burned that paper while crying out Mary's name. The change wasn't instant, but it was real. Within weeks, normal conversations became possible. Within months, they were closer than they'd been in decades. That's the nuclear power locked inside Mary's holy name, but it only detonates when we stop playing games with grace. Some of you are thinking, but they don't deserve forgiveness. They never said sorry. They never changed. You're probably right about all of that. Here's what Father Pio grasped that most people miss. Forgiveness isn't about what they deserve. It's about what you deserve. You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve a heart that isn't poisoned by bitterness. When you clutch resentment, you're not hurting the person who wronged you. You're drinking poison and expecting them to drop dead. Mary's name shatters that cycle. Her name has the power to heal what seems permanently broken, to soften what has turned to stone, to breathe life where death has taken root. Don't wait for them to make the first move. Don't wait for apologies that may never come. Don't wait for circumstances to magically change. Take action today, on this sacred day, and watch heaven respond to a heart that chooses freedom. The enemy wants you believing some hurts cut too deep, some betrayals sting too severely, some wounds are too infected to heal. That's a lie designed to keep you locked in spiritual prison. Mary's holy name is the key to your cell. But you've got to be willing to turn it. As the ashes of that burned paper settle, you'll feel something shift in your spirit. The air in your home will feel cleaner. Your sleep will deepen. Family conversations will flow like water instead of blood. This is just the beginning, because a soul freed from resentment becomes a soul ready for deeper spiritual cleansing. Father Pio used to describe confession as the soul's deep clean. Just like our bodies collect dirt and grime we can't always see, our souls accumulate spiritual filth that clouds our connection with heaven. Think about how incredible a hot shower feels after a long, brutal day. The water washes away not just visible dirt, but also that invisible weight of stress and exhaustion. That's exactly what happens in confession, but for your spirit. The Holy Name of Mary Day creates a unique spiritual atmosphere where grace flows like a river, where heaven bends closer to earth, where even the most hardened hearts become tender enough for real repentance. Father Pio knew this secret. He spent countless hours in the confessional, witnessing miraculous transformations that would blow your mind. He would say, even the deepest wounds, when exposed with humility, get healed by grace. But here's what most people don't get about confession. It's not just rattling off a list of sins. It's cracking your heart wide open, allowing divine light to illuminate corners you've kept hidden even from yourself. On this sacred day, Mary wants to prepare you for the most liberating confession of your life. But it starts with brutal self-examination, and she's ready to help. Sit quietly and pray. Mother, show me what I need to surrender to your Son. Don't rush this prayer. Wait in the silence. Listen with your heart. Mary has a gentle way of revealing truth. She doesn't condemn or shame. Instead, she illuminates with love, helping you see patterns you've missed, habits you've justified, and wounds you've refused to acknowledge. Maybe she'll show you the pride that makes you reject help from others. Perhaps she'll reveal the envy that poisons your joy when others succeed. She might illuminate the fear that keeps you from truly trusting God's plan. Or maybe she'll go deeper. Maybe she'll show you the unforgiveness you still harbor toward yourself for past failures. The shame that makes you feel unworthy of God's love, the despair that whispers lies about your future. Whatever Mary reveals, receive it with gratitude. Remember, diagnosis comes before healing. A doctor can't treat a condition that stays hidden. Father Pio understood that the enemy's deadliest weapon isn't tempting us to commit obvious sins. It's convincing us we're beyond redemption, that our failures are too great, that God couldn't possibly love someone like us. This is spiritual poison that Mary's name neutralizes instantly. If you can't get to confession today, don't let that stop you from starting this process. Begin your examination of conscience right now. Write down what Mary shows you. Be specific. Be honest. Be brave. Michael hadn't been to confession in over 20 years. He'd convinced himself that his sins were too serious, his failures too numerous, his heart too hardened for God to take him back. On a Holy Name of Mary Day, he finally found the courage to approach the confessional. The priest later said it was one of the most profound confessions he'd ever heard. Not because the sins were particularly shocking, but because the repentance was so complete, so genuine, so drenched in hope. Michael walked out feeling like he could fly. Colors seemed brighter, sounds clearer, his heart lighter than it had been in decades. He said it felt like being reborn, like stepping out of a tomb into blazing sunlight. That's the power available to you today. But it requires radical honesty, not just with God, but with yourself. Mary's holy name creates a safe space for this honesty. When you invoke her name before examining your conscience, you're inviting the Mother of Mercy to guide the process. She knows exactly how to help you see truth without drowning in shame. Some of you might be terrified of what you'll find if you look too closely at your spiritual life. You might worry the darkness runs too deep, the patterns are too entrenched, change is impossible at your age or in your circumstances. Let Mary's name dissolve those fears. Remember, she said yes to God when it seemed impossible. She stood by the cross when hope appeared dead. She believed in resurrection when everything looked like the end. Her name carries that same power of impossible transformation. Prepare your heart for confession by inviting Mary to be your guide. Ask her to show you not just what needs healing, but also to give you the guts to expose those wounds to divine light. A soul cleansed by sincere confession becomes a soul ready to receive the most powerful spiritual weapon Mary wants to place in your hands. Speaking of powerful spiritual weapons, many of you have been asking how to deepen your prayer life and experience the same intimate relationship with Mary that Father Pio enjoyed. The Rosary was Father Pio's greatest weapon against spiritual darkness, and today it can become yours too. That's why I want to share something special, our ebook, The Power of the Rosary with Father Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with deeper devotion, discover the miracles and testimonies of those who've experienced its power, and access Father Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, plus special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Father Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this chance to strengthen your spiritual life with material that's already helped thousands. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now, let me share the third revelation that can blow heaven's gates wide open. Few people know about this Rosary. It's not lengthy like the traditional 15 decades, but its power is off the charts. Father Pio had a habit of repeating, sometimes for hours, just the names of Jesus and Mary. He believed this simple invocation kicked demons out and brought profound peace to troubled souls. This isn't just pious tradition, this is spiritual warfare at its most lethal level. When you speak Mary's name with genuine faith, something happens in the invisible realm. Walls of opposition crumble, hellish interference falls silent, heaven's gates swing wide open. Take your Rosary in your hands. If you don't have one, use your fingers or simply focus on the prayers themselves. This isn't about perfect technique. This is about tuning your heart to heaven's frequency. For each small bead, pray slowly and deliberately. Mary, sweet and powerful name, be my salvation. Don't rush these words. Let them settle in your spirit. Feel their weight. Mean every syllable. For each large bead, pray with even deeper intention. By the holy name of Mary, liberate my home and heal my soul. Again, speak with purpose. This isn't mindless repetition. This is building spiritual momentum, creating an atmosphere where miracles become natural. Father Pio understood something profound about repetitive prayer. Each time you speak Mary's name with faith, you're not just saying words. You're sending shockwaves through the spiritual realm. You're declaring allegiance, you're claiming protection, you're invoking the power that makes demons flee in terror. Think about how a mother responds when you call her name. If you're in danger, if you're hurt, if you need help, you don't just think about your mother. You call out to her. You speak her name with urgency and expectation. That's exactly what happens when you pray Mary's name. You're not talking to a statue or an idea. You're calling out to the most powerful woman who ever lived, the Mother of God himself, the one who has never refused help to anyone who sincerely sought her intercession. But here's what makes this rosary particularly powerful on the Holy Name of Mary Day. Heaven is already tuned to hear her name with special attention. The spiritual atmosphere is charged with expectation. Your prayers don't just reach heaven, they arrive with amplified power. As you pray each bead, imagine Mary's presence becoming more real in your home. See her walking through each room, blessing every corner, sealing every entrance against anything that doesn't belong to God. Padre Pio would often tell people, speak the name of Mary in every danger, in every anxiety, and you will see her hand moving on your behalf. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual reality. Mary's name carries the authority of the Mother of the King. When she speaks, creation listens. When she intervenes, circumstances change. When she protects, nothing can harm you. During one particularly intense spiritual battle, Padre Pio spent an entire night repeating nothing but the names of Jesus and Mary. By morning, the oppression had lifted completely. The peace that filled his cell was so profound that other friars could feel it just walking past his door. That same peace is available to you through this simple but powerful rosary. Some of you might think, but I've prayed before and nothing changed. I've called on Mary's name and still face difficulties. How is this different? Here's the difference: intention, consistency, and faith. This isn't about praying once and expecting instant results. This is about creating a sustained spiritual atmosphere where Mary's presence becomes constant, where her protection becomes your daily reality. When you commit to praying this rosary regularly, especially on sacred days like today, you're not just asking for help. You're building a relationship. You're creating spiritual habits that attract heaven's attention and force the enemy's retreat. Mary doesn't just answer individual prayers. She transforms entire lives. She doesn't just solve immediate problems. She creates long-term spiritual breakthrough. But she needs your cooperation. She needs your consistent invitation. She needs your active faith. As you pray each bead of this holy name rosary, pay attention to what happens in your spirit. You might feel sudden peace washing over anxious thoughts. You might notice family tensions beginning to ease without explanation. You might find that problems that seemed impossible to solve start working themselves out naturally. These aren't coincidences. These are signs that Mary's name is actively working in your circumstances. I want you to understand something crucial. Mary's name isn't magic. It's not a formula you recite to manipulate spiritual forces. It's a relationship you build with the Mother who loves you more than you can imagine. When you pray her name with genuine devotion, you're acknowledging her role in salvation history. You're honoring her obedience to God. You're trusting her maternal heart to guide you toward her Son. Padre Pio knew that Mary never draws attention to herself. Everything she does points toward Jesus. When you honor her name, you're ultimately honoring Christ. When you seek her protection, you're ultimately accepting Jesus' provision. When you trust her intercession, you're ultimately depending on his grace. This holy name rosary becomes a bridge between your need and God's provision, with Mary serving as the gentle, powerful advocate who ensures your prayers reach the throne of grace. Pray this rosary without hurry. Create space for silence between the prayers. Allow Mary's presence to become real and tangible in your experience. Don't be surprised if you feel moved to tears during this prayer. Don't be shocked if old burdens suddenly feel lighter. Don't be amazed if solutions to long-standing problems begin appearing in unexpected ways. This is how heaven responds when earth calls Mary's name with authentic faith. A heart that regularly invokes Mary's holy name becomes a heart that lives under constant divine protection. The holy name of Mary isn't just a liturgical remembrance on the church calendar. It's a spiritual key that unlocks heaven's storehouse of grace. When you speak this name with genuine faith, barriers dissolve, infernal opposition retreats, and divine favor flows freely into your life. Today, you've received 3 game-changing revelations from Father Pio's spiritual wisdom. First, the liberation that comes from releasing resentment through sacred ritual. Second, the cleansing power of sincere confession, guided by Mary's gentle hand. Third, the protective strength of the holy name Rosary that creates an atmosphere of constant divine presence. But knowledge without action remains powerless. Information without implementation changes nothing. You can know every prayer, understand every teaching, memorize every quote from Father Pio, but until you put these revelations into practice, they remain beautiful theories rather than life-transforming realities. Father Pio used to say, "Speak the name of Mary in every danger, in every anxiety, and you will see her hand moving on your behalf." This isn't just poetic language. This is practical spirituality. This is how saints lived, how miracles happened, how ordinary people experienced extraordinary grace. Today, make a decision that will echo in eternity. Choose to honor Mary's holy name, not just with your words, but with your entire life. Burn away what has become cursed through unforgiveness. Confess what has become corrupted through sin. Pray with the name that brings salvation. Some of you have been carrying burdens for years, convinced that change is impossible, that peace is unreachable, that your situation is too complicated for even God to untangle. Today, Mary's holy name declares otherwise. Others have been fighting the same spiritual battles repeatedly, feeling defeated every time you fall, wondering if victory is possible for someone like you. Today, Mary's holy name proclaims that overcoming is not only possible but promised. Still others have been feeling distant from God, as if your prayers bounce off the ceiling, as if heaven has become deaf to your cries. Today, Mary's holy name opens a direct pathway to the throne of grace. The enemy wants you believing some hearts are too hardened, some situations too hopeless, some sins too serious for redemption. That's a lie designed to keep you in spiritual prison while the key to freedom hangs within reach. Mary's name is that key. Her intercession is that bridge. Her love is that assurance. But you must choose to use what heaven has provided. You must choose to believe what God has promised. You must choose to act on what the Spirit reveals. If these teachings have touched your heart, if Father Pio's wisdom has awakened hope in your spirit, if Mary's name has stirred something deep within your soul, write in the comments, "Today, by the holy name of Mary, I choose to be set free." Your testimony matters more than you realize. Someone reading your words needs exactly the encouragement you provide. Someone struggling with the same battles needs to see that breakthrough is possible. Someone losing hope needs your declaration of faith to reignite their own. Share this message with everyone you love. Send it to family members who need spiritual breakthrough. Forward it to friends facing impossible circumstances. Post it where others can discover that Mary's name still carries the same power it held in Father Pio's time. We're building more than just a community here. We're creating a spiritual family where faith grows stronger through shared testimony, where hope multiplies through mutual encouragement, where love deepens through common devotion to Mary and her Son. Your support helps this message reach more hearts that desperately need healing. Your engagement helps more souls discover the power available through Mary's holy name. Your participation helps more families experience the peace that Father Pio promised to those who trust in Mary's intercession. Smash that like button if this brought light to your darkness. Hit subscribe if you want to keep growing in spiritual wisdom. Become a member if you're ready to be part of a community that takes faith seriously and supports each other's journey toward holiness. The holy name of Mary covers you now with protection that cannot be penetrated. It guides you toward peace that cannot be disturbed. It secures for you a future that cannot be destroyed. Today, heaven is listening. Today, Mary is watching. Today, Father Pio's intercession joins with hers to bring you everything your heart truly needs. May the holy name of Mary be your shield, your comfort, and your pathway to eternal joy. Amen.